Hey, what's up? I'm Liz, Let's Say DIY, and I have made an electric menorah. As I mentioned in my last video, it's the holiday season, and that means it's time for holiday projects. And one of the holidays I love the most is Hanukkah. You just can't go wrong with a holiday that lasts for 8 days, involves fun lights, and of course, spinning tops called dreidels. So this is actually a gift for a friend. I discovered that one of my friends didn't have a menorah at all, and she just moved into a new place, so I wanted to make her an electric menorah so that she could fully celebrate all 8 crazy nights. I based the circuit design off of my little electric menorah that I've had since I was a teenager. I got it from a site that isn't around anymore, I don't think, called Fred Flare. As you can see, it's a circuit board. And it has a little dip switch that controls each LED individually so that you can light each one as the nights go on. Because a lot of electric menorahs, you just kind of plug them in and all the lights are on, and where's the fun in that? So I definitely wanted this one to have the switches as well. So that's what I'm basing the circuit on. And funny thing, I got this before I was even into electronics, so it's almost like some foreshadowing. And this is still going strong after over 10 years. So for this menorah, I'm using NeoPixels, individual 8mm NeoPixels, and I'm just running the sample Rainbow Cycle script that's available for it. I did code it in CircuitPython because I'm using a Trinket M0 board for to control everything. But of course, you could also run this with Arduino, use one of the other smaller Trinkets or other smaller Arduino 328 boards, and have the same effect. Now, there's one thing about this menorah, it was kind of a bear to make. And looking back, I wish I'd kind of approached this a bit differently. The white that you're seeing, that is the body of the menorah, is actually PVC pipe. And they're just little connectors. I'll link them down below. I got them all on Amazon. They sell them in 10 packs, and they're just PVC elbows. And then they're just clamped together with some PVC clamps. And the PVC clamps, I was originally going to clip the excess metal off, but I think it's actually helping to balance it, and I think it looks kind of nice. It looks pretty clean. Now you notice at the bottom there's a little kind of circular base. It's definitely not PVC pipe, and that's because I actually 3D printed a base. I designed it in CAD software, made sure it was going to be the right measurements for the PVC pipe. It has a little hole in the bottom that allows the cable to go through and the PVC to rest on a base as well. And yeah, I recently got a 3D printer, and I saw some people on social media when I was starting to print like 3D printed things, including these dreidels, that people were like, when did you get one? And I got it in a Black Friday sale, like so many people do. And don't worry, I'm going to be doing a couple videos on it after the holidays, once I really get a feel for it. As you can tell, I'm definitely very into it at the moment, and this was actually the base for this menorah was actually the first thing I ever designed in CAD. I'd never even used CAD before, and I've just really fallen in love with it. So there's going to be some more coverage on that on the channel as we go forward. I'm really pumped on it. But back to the topic at hand, this menorah. The way that I did the circuit was that each lead on the individual NeoPixel, there are 4 of them. One's data in, the other's 5 volt, next is ground, and then data out. I actually have all the data ins connected to the data pin on the Trinket because I noticed that when I was practicing on the circuit on a breadboard, that when I was cutting power, it was affecting how the colors were being delivered to the NeoPixels that still had power. But I noticed that if I just kept everything data in, then they kind of acted as independent NeoPixels, which is what I needed them to do. So that's why I did that. So you're not going to see the range of rainbow colors like how it normally goes. They're all going together, which I think is still a nice effect. So I'm using just some metal switches to do for power. So I have that connected in parallel for every single NeoPixel to 5 volt power, and I soldered one line of power basically on proto board, and that's in this portion of the menorah, and then that is all tied to the 5 volt line, well, the 3.3 volt line on the Trinket. So that's how power is going. So when I flip the switches, they go off, but the color's not affected and all the others stay on. And so that allows us to have individual power. So the way that I soldered everything up was I had one of those proto boards where it's shaped like a breadboard and the leads are connected in the same way. And the reason why I chose that was I I don't really like jumping leads on regular proto board. I always feel like I'm going to have a short, and I was concerned where everything was going to be so close and there were going to be so many jumped leads that I was going to end up having something go wrong. So I thought that that was the better bet. What I should have done is pre-cut the proto board before. I soldered everything onto the board and then tried to cut, and that caused a lot of problems, mainly because when I first tested cutting the other like cheap proto board that I normally use that doesn't have the connected leads, it cut very easily. But the proto board that's like the breadboard is a really nice quality, and that's not a bad thing. When I tried to cut it, it was very difficult, and I had some breaking. I had to really finesse. I cut some wires by mistake. It was kind of a mess. At the end, it was fine. As you can see, everything's in here. So the little chunks of circuit board are in this Menorah, and so the LEDs are kind of sitting suspended in here. And I used hot glue on the circuit board and also the switches as well to prevent any shorting. Hot glue's nice. It kind of like acts as an insulator, and it's non-conductive, so that was good. And then it's not as like finicky as electrical tape. Now you might notice there are some holes here that are kind of unaccounted for in the Menorah. And that's because at first I thought I was going to be able to put the switches in here, kind of more at the top of the base of each portion of the PVC pipe. And I actually dremeled those out and made them about the same size as the switches. But I quickly found out as I was attempting to get the wires in here that it wasn't going to fit that way. So I ended up having to Dremel out some new holes more towards the bottom, which is fine. And I'm going to leave those holes like that right now because it's actually good for troubleshooting if I need to access it. I'm going to talk to my friend, see if she wants me to maybe like plug them up or put something in there, but for now they're open. And speaking of the wiring was it was really difficult to get into the PVC pipe. I thought having half-inch PVC pipe was big enough, but I need a little bit more space, a little bit more finesse to be able to get everything in evenly. As you can see, it worked out in the end, but I had some kind of issues come up while I was doing it. I had some solder points disconnect just because there was so much force being exerted on everything. I had some stuff break. I was able to repair everything, but it made it really difficult. So if I were to make this again, I would first of all cut that proto board ahead of time, get those all set, get the LEDs in here, and then run each wire to connect while they're in the PVC pipe so that I'm actually running the wire while I'm soldering. So then everything's in place. I'm not having to move around after. And especially the 5-volt power line that I have going on down here, I definitely would want to solder that after everything was run, because it was that choke point that really caused the most problems, just because there was so much wire going in such a tiny space. So if you decide to make that, that's how I would approach this project. And of course I'm going to have a Hackster.io write-up with a circuit diagram and everything for you to see. And then these little bulbs here were actually ornaments, clear plastic ornaments that were sold at Michael's at Pack for people to like modify and things like that, in the same section where you can find these lovely snow globes. And so I just took the base off and then hot glued each bulb on top, so then it gives it a nice effect, and also it makes it a little bit more proportionate to the PVC pipe and the base. Otherwise, the NeoPixels, it looks kind of dinky. So this kind of gives it a nice full space. And I was pleasantly surprised when I got everything together and looked at it, that I think it looks really nice. Like, considering what it is and everything, like I'm impressed with how like finished it looks and how proportionate it looks. I was concerned about the proportions as I started doing the wiring, but I think it came out pretty good. It was a hard-fought battle. There were definitely some problems, some resoldering. I think I resoldered the wires to the Trinket like 3 times. Yeah, it was a hard-fought battle. A lot of hot glue, a lot of dremeling, a lot of soldering, but I think the end result is really nice. And it will ensure my friend has a very happy Hanukkah. But that's going to do it for this video. If you'd like to toss me a thumbs up, leave any questions or comments down below. I am going to have a write-up on Hackster.io, which I will also link down in the description. And it will have the circuit diagram, I'll throw the rainbow cycle code up there as well, just so you have it, and also links to all these different materials that I used, because as you can see, it got a little nuts. And I'll also put the STL file for the base as well, in case you're curious, although please don't judge my very new CAD skills too harshly. Find me on social media. Links are also going to be down in the description. Thank you for watching. Consider subscribing for more like this, and until next time, have a very happy Hanukkah.